Thanks for staying with us. Time now for Africa News with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, anti-gay sentiment in Uganda has seen the president's decision to back a law that could see homosexuality punished by life imprisonment welcomed at home but slammed abroad. Also, Morocco's King Mohammed VI leaves Mali for the next leg of his tour of West Africa. He's currently in Ivory Coast, but whilst in Mali, the two countries boosted their economic cooperation. And we head to Rwanda, where we meet the 20-year-old carrying the commemorative torch travelling across the country ahead of ceremonies to mark the 2 decades since the end of the 1994 genocide. First up, Uganda's new anti-gay law has been met with condemnation from Western governments and widespread approval at home. The US says it's reviewing its relationship with the African nation after its president signed a bill that punishes homosexuality with up to life in prison.
Subject to pressure from all sides, President Museveni finally gave in to demands from his own country and not the international community, putting pen to paper on Monday.
No study has shown that you can be homosexual purely by nature. Since nature is the main cause of homosexuality, then society can do something about it to discourage the trends. That is why I have agreed to sign the bill.
It's a U-turn after just last week he announced plans to put the bill on hold, saying homosexuals were sick and repression wasn't the solution. But on Monday he was still at odds to understanding what it meant to be gay.
Even now I have not really fully understood it, that you can fail to be attracted to all these beautiful women here and elsewhere, and you are attracted by a man. That's a very serious matter.
The controversial new law jails repeat homosexuals for life. It also forbids the promotion of homosexuality and requires the public to denounce gay people. Barack Obama warned that enacting the law would complicate relations with Uganda, which receives $400 million in aid each year from Washington. Opponents of the law say they will now lodge an appeal to the Constitutional Court.
In Central African Republic, Muslim communities continue to face bloody reprisals from Christian militia who accuse them of backing the Seleka rebels who seized power last year. Well, Seleka insurgents were in charge for less than a year, but chaos continues. The interreligious tensions have also led to worsening relations with Muslim Chadian troops in the country as part of the African Union peacekeeping force. Now, they've been accused of fatally shooting 3 civilians in a Christian neighbourhood in Bangui. This follows the killing of Chadian soldiers elsewhere in the city overnight. Well, France 24's Chris Moore brings us more from Bangui.
In terms of the deaths of those Chadian soldiers, that has been confirmed by the African Union here in Bangui today. 2 dead, 1 wounded. That incident, it seems, taking place in the combatant district of the town. It's a heavily Christian, historically neighbourhood, not so far from the city's airport. Some reports suggesting the Chadian troops may have been walking in the streets there, which is something they're not technically allowed to do. In terms of the fact Chadians are involved, there is, of course, a background here. Chad and its soldiers, justly or not, are identified by much of the Christian population here with that Seleka rebellion last year that brought Michel Djotodia to power, during which many Christians lost their lives. It's an element of bad blood which is not going to go away quickly among the Christian community, and certainly not among its more radical members in the anti-Blacker militia.
Now, Chris, these incidents today involving the Chadian soldiers, they're just part of the ongoing low-level violence that continues in the capital.
That's right, yes. In terms of today's events, again, it seems that happened in the combatant neighbourhood, which has been a bit of a flashpoint in terms of tensions in recent days. In terms of the overall security situation, some humanitarian organisations, for example, are trying to put the message across that things are improving, that the violence is more low level. It is, however, still very much constant. By way of an example that I've witnessed personally today, we were down in the Pekadous, kilometre 12 district of Bangui. Historically a very mixed between Christian and Muslim populations district. If you took a cursory glance around that district, you might think that things were in some way getting back to normal. A lot of people out at the market buying things, albeit at highly inflated prices. There is, however, still a very heavy security presence. Christian people there will tell you they remain scared. If you go a couple of 100 meters, down the road, you enter one of the last remaining Muslim enclaves in Bangui, the vast majority of Muslims have now left the capital. Conditions down there are pretty desperate in terms of health, sanitation, etc. The population are very scared and very keen to get out.
The bodies of 7 Egyptian Christians were found in Libya on Monday near the eastern city of Benghazi. All the victims had been executed by gunshots to the head and chest. Authorities say that the victims had been kidnapped from their homes by an unknown group on Sunday, along with one other man who managed to escape by jumping from a car. In Mali, 5 bodies, reportedly wearing military clothing, have been discovered in 2 graves just outside of Bamako. The Kati military barracks site had been the headquarters of General Amadou Sanogo, who launched a coup in 2012 that sparked a year of turmoil in the country. Sanogo was arrested last November and charged with kidnapping soldiers who tried to launch a counter-coup. Well, Morocco's King Mohammed VI has just left Bamako as he continues his tour of West Africa. He is currently in Ivory Coast. But earlier, during his 5-day stop in Mali, the 2 countries reinforced their economic ties and sealed several industrial cooperation agreements. Francois Réoué sent us this report.
The ground's broken on a state-of-the-art health clinic. It's a present from Morocco. King Mohammed VI and President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta are the players in a new South-South partnership. In the course of a 5-day visit, 18 accords and protocols have been signed, covering the economy, taxation, defence, agriculture and health. This is Rabat wooing Bamako in a big way. Money isn't everything. Morocco wants to be a player in Mali's political arena. Recently, the king received Bilal Ag-Sharif, the leader of the MNLA rebels. Morocco is also challenging Algeria as a player in peacemaking in the crisis in northern Mali.
It's not because the Secretary General of the National Movement for the Liberation of Azawad visits a country that country becomes a mediator. We have asked for support from anyone with goodwill to facilitate, to help Mali and support the international community with the challenge. The insecurity in the Azawad is such that it will cross borders if we are not careful.
But the MNLA isn't the only armed group. A peace deal along the lines sought by the United Nations still seems far off.
Algeria talks to the HCU and the MAA, which it is close to. Morocco talks to the MNLA, which doesn't want to have anything to do with Algeria. Once we get into the clauses of a deal, we will have to bring the talks to Mali. That is the position of Mali's president.
For the king, it's onwards to another 3 countries, but not before naming a street in Mali's capital.
Well, we head to Rwanda now, where we're going to meet some of the 20-year-olds carrying the commemorative torch, travelling across the country. Now, that is ahead of ceremonies to mark the 2 decades since the end of the 1994 genocide of 800,000 Tutsis and moderate Hutus. Thais Bruik and Jenny Clover sent us this report.
Wearing the umushanana, the Rwandan dress for major events, these 2 20-year-olds were chosen to carry the symbol of the courage of the Rwandan people from the district of Rutsiro to Rubavu. They were born just after the genocide and represent the future of the country.
After that genocide, we were in darkness, so that to receive this flame is to receive light of victory.
Large crowds are waiting in Rubavu. The ceremony takes place just next to a genocide memorial. In each town, the students pass the baton to other 20-year-olds. A primary school choir sings before the testimonies that last 2 hours.
I was at home when a group of people came. I didn't know who they were, neither where they were from. But they said to my father, "We are bringing you to the district building."
Innocent never saw his father again. The district building was in reality the town cemetery. His former militiaman took part in the genocide. He explains why one victim called the cemetery the Red District.
He thought he would be saved by the mayor, but he was brought here in this cemetery, not at the mayor's place. Then, when he saw a lot of blood and a lot of dead bodies, he said, I thought you were going to bring me to the district, but you brought me to the red district.
The commemorative torch continues its tour of Rwanda and will arrive in Kigali on April the 7th to mark the beginning of the country's period of national mourning.
Well, that wraps up African News for me, but join me again tomorrow when I'm back with more. Till then, take care.